Good morning. This is Robin Reynolds. I am a systems engineer and a creative coach living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I used certain principles to completely refactor my life, and I love to share that process with other people. Today, I am talking about the topic of, do poems need to rhyme, and other silly questions. And the reason I say that those questions are silly is that there are rules in art and creativity and certain domain areas. Of course, there are. But the kind of creative work that I talk about and that I advocate has nothing to do with any of these rules. And in fact, the process that I advocate is the exact opposite of having any kind of externally exerted rules or expectations upon yourself. So really what I am teaching and advocating is re-engineering your own life based on your rules, your needs, your desires, your wants, your non-negotiables. These are the kinds of things that we work through in my workshops. And so it doesn't matter what the world tells you. Let's use a poem as an example of this larger abstract idea. So there are people who believe that real poems need to have a certain meter. They either rhyme or they don't rhyme. There are just all kinds of very technical rules for poetic structure. That is not the kind of work that we are doing. So when someone asks me, should a poem rhyme? My answer inside of my head would be, I don't know. How would I know? It's your poem. I'm not in charge of you and your poem, and neither is the world, by the way. Now, if you are aspiring to be a Nobel laureate or perhaps a poetry professor, you need to know those things because they're part of the technical domain area of poetry. But if you're using creativity as a medium or a vehicle to this interpersonal work that I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you write an essay, a poem, a performance piece, or if you write some hybrid of all of those things, because the important point and the reason that I use creativity as a vehicle is because doing creative activities helps to engage simultaneously your creative brain. The way that I do the workshops also engages your logical brain. So we come up with a very specific plan based on your needs and desires. And then we talk about how can you get there practically speaking. When we use creativity to bring all of those things together, we're incorporating your physical body. So whether you are dancing, whether you are painting, writing, whatever it is, we're seeking this intersection really of your intellectual, spiritual, and physical selves. I believe that the way our world works, we rarely, unless we intentionally do it, get the opportunity to bring those things together. And so asking the question in this domain area, in my area of expertise, asking the question, does a poem need to rhyme, is a silly question. It's like asking, sometimes I teach workshops and we are painting, but we're not painting to get to a very specific outcome. We're painting just to feel that brush in our hands and just to understand the freedom that creativity can afford and to let our brain stop thinking so intentionally about grocery lists and what time the kids have to be at school, and is the performance rating due at work, and is my mother sick? And instead, let your mind be occupied by this creative activity, which lets you enter into a place where your mind can rest. So these real, true, deeper inner thoughts that get pushed down a lot can start rising to the surface. That's why we use creativity. So if I'm doing that exercise and we're painting and someone is very concerned about, wait a minute, Did we use gesso first? What color did you use? Did you put it all the way to the corner of the page? I realize that I haven't communicated effectively about what we're doing and why, because it's never about keep up with me, do exactly what I do so that in the end you can have this very specific outcome. It is all about what are you feeling inside. I may start off painting a certain way because I want to give people some structure to move through the exercise. I don't want them to sit facing a blank page and then be overwhelmed by all the possibilities. So I give them a path forward, some breadcrumbs. But as they're moving forward, if they feel that they want to go off in a different direction, it's absolutely fine. In fact, it's terrific because it means the exercise is accomplishing the purpose, which is allowing people to hear more clearly their inner desires and thoughts. Some other silly questions that I hear in the world sometimes are ebooks considered reading a book? Honestly, I think that's such a crazy question. Part of this process is all about curiosity, deep learning, engagement in the world. And one of the ways that I do that, among many, is by reading books. Of course, reading books helps you tap into the ideas of other people all along the human timeline. What a gift books are, right? And whether they are in paper form or electronic form or their audio, it doesn't matter. We're still uptaking these thoughts of other people's and being able to bounce those off of our principles and then come up with ideas based on those, right? So they're informing our opinion. It makes absolutely no difference what form those books are in my opinion. Another question I get sometimes, and these are very well-meaning people, is they'll very intently look at something I've made, a journal or a painting or something, and they will, I think maybe they feel they need to interpret it in a very ethereal sort of artistic way. And so they'll ask me questions like, when you made this painting, were you considering the juxtaposition of nature with our animal instincts as human beings? And, just some long, convoluted approach to why I made that painting. And the truth is, I very rarely, if ever, have some kind of idea like that behind my painting. In fact, my point in painting, for me personally, is to somewhat empty my mind of everything that's right there, top of mind, move that aside so that the things that are down deeper that rarely get a chance to see the light of day can rise up slowly. And sometimes I don't even know exactly what those things are saying to me yet, but giving them some airtime allows them to start bouncing around in my brain more, and they may develop some different thoughts over the next few days. So really what I'm trying to tell you is, in the context of what I am teaching, if you find yourself asking very specific, almost pedantic questions about how you should be doing this work, take a step back. What we are doing is re-engineering your life based on your deepest desires and needs, based on your principles and non-negotiables. So no one else externally can tell you how to do that. This is the grandest project that you've got. And so what I'm advocating is, do not put someone else in charge of that project. You are the project lead. This is your baby. And so don't be tempted to get caught up in the details of how should I do this. Instead, really focus on opening up your mind, moving past some of those questions. I want to tell you before we go, I think there are a couple of reasons those questions come up, and it's completely understandable. One, when we're doing something difficult, we want a roadmap. We want someone to say, turn left there and stop over there by the gas station. I'll meet you there at 1 p.m. It's clear, it's understandable. We can do that. we can walk through those steps. This work is not that. This work is difficult. I think it seems simple on the outside sometimes to people who haven't done it. They think, you're just over there doing some art. Maybe they even think, what's the purpose of that? But the truth is, when you get on the inside of this, it's hard. We're asking hard questions. We're going at our own pace. We're stopping and we're starting. Sometimes we feel lonely in this process because it's really an individual process. Sometimes we get confused. Sometimes life sweeps us up for a couple of months and we have to bring ourselves back to the path. All of that is hard. And if there's a set of directions that makes you feel less uncertainty, of course we gravitate toward that. We all do. It's human nature. And the other reason that I think we ask these questions is it's a diversionary tactic. Of course, we usually don't do this intentionally, but if there's a hard task at hand and we kind of know we need to do it or we want to do it, but it takes a different type of effort or a little more effort than we're used to putting out, it's very tempting to get caught up in the shuffle of asking questions like that. Again, human nature, nothing wrong with that, no judgment, I do it too. However, I would challenge you to rip that off, move those things aside, and try to go just a little deeper. So, do poems have to rhyme? Just to loop back and answer our original question. The answer is, we don't know and we don't care. So, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you're new to my videos and you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, I do have some information at my website, which I will put at the bottom here. You can go to my website. There are some free resources that talk about this kind of work that I'm doing. There are examples of visual journaling, of writing, and many resources. So I would love to help you get started. You are welcome to reach out, and I'm wishing you just the very best weekend. Bye-bye.